The light I buy, too bright. The teleprompter I buy doesn't work with my camera. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna film it old fashioned, and then my SD card is full. I am over this. I'm over this video, and I'm so excited about this video, but I'm over this video. And I'm also gonna start over, I guess, because I don't know how much of that got filmed. So let's start over. And also, my best friend sent me a DoorDash delivery because I got a new job, and I don't know where it is. It says delivered, but I live in an apartment complex, and you have to buzz in, and no one buzzed. Are my cookies sitting in the rain? Let's talk about kids dying. Hey everybody, welcome back to I Got Bored. My name is Zayna Vargas, and today we're going to be talking about The Long Walk, more specifically the book to movie adaptation, my thoughts on the book, my thoughts on the movie, whether or not the movie was a good adaptation of the source material, whether or not the movie was a good movie. Now, yes, I am aware that the movie came out in September of 2025, and it is now May or June of 2026, but in my defense, I'm trying to buy less books off of Amazon. Package secured. These are macaroons from ICI Macaroons and Cafe. I didn't even know this place existed. I literally am fucking obsessed with macaroons. Me and my other friend Katie love Sweet Velvet Macaroons in Camp Hill, PA. Love you. Didn't even know this place existed. They smell phenomenal. I don't know the flavors, so we're gonna guess. This one looks promising. It looks like some sort of chocolate, white chocolate situation. Yeah. This is exactly what I needed to get through filming. She always knows how to make my day better. Let the record show that this is the 5th time I'm restarting this video, but it was worth it for that cookie, that macaroon. It was so good. But in my defense, I've been trying to buy less books off of Amazon, and I've been trying to support more indie bookstores, more libraries. And I'm also relatively new in my Stephen King era, so I hadn't read this book prior to the movie being announced, and I really like to read books before consuming the adapted media, especially for this one, because every single video that I saw, like, talking about this movie, promoting this movie, said stuff along the lines of, The Long Walk is Stephen King's worst ending, the movie completely fixed the ending, the movie's completely different from the book, the movie ending is so much better than the book. Like, everyone was dogging on the book ending, and everybody loved the movie ending, that I wanted to experience the book the way Stephen King intended before watching the supposedly better ending. However, I could not get my hands on a copy of this book. I went to so many small indie bookstores, so many resale stores, Goodwills, half-price books. I literally looked everywhere for months for this book. I had a multiple month hold on Libby, and I just couldn't get my hands on a copy of this book until I secured a copy at the Mysterious Bookshop in New York City, which is like an all mystery thriller bookstore. I got a copy in April of 2026. So I finally read it. And because the movie's not on streaming, I didn't watch the movie until May of 2026. So we're finally here. We've finally done it. And you know what? Some may say that the time for a Long Walk review has come and gone, but those people are not me, and I hate wasting my time. And the Long Walk movie was a waste of my time. So we're gonna talk about it. So The Long Walk is a story about 100 boys ages 13 to 18 who basically have to walk indefinitely at a pace of 4 miles per hour. The boys enter the Long Walk lottery all across the United States, and 200 names are chosen in a very like Hunger Games-esque picking of names out of a bowl. The first 100 boys are the ones who are actually doing the walk. The second 100 boys are basically on deck in case any of the first 100 boys opt out of doing the walk before the deadline. They will be put in. You must maintain a pace of 4 miles per hour. If you drop below 4 miles per hour for literally any reason at all, you get a warning, 3 warnings, and you're out. And by you're out, I mean you're dead. You are literally walking to avoid death. You're literally walking for your life. You're literally walking towards your death. For every hour you walk after receiving a warning, that warning is removed, and the boys are given food at the top of every day to ration as they please, and as many water canteens as they ask for. But other than that, there's no sleeping, no bathroom breaks, no resting, no stopping for any reason at all. Now, why would anybody subject themselves to this? The prize. The winner of the Long Walk gets anything their heart desires for literally the rest of their lives. It's basically a one-way ticket to the Golden City. All you have to do is outwalk 99 other young teenage boys and live with the trauma of seeing them get a bullet through their head for the rest of your life. Small price to pay for never having to worry about paying bills or getting food or having a job. The book is written in a third-person POV, but our main character is obviously Ray Garrity, a sweet 16-year-old boy with a mom and a girlfriend and a father who was soldiered away when he was but 3 apples tall. There is no explanation as to why the long walk exists or how it's become so normalized, unlike in The Hunger Games and Divergent, where the dystopianness is kind of explained to you in the beginning. We get no such comfort here, which I would argue is literally the best part of the book. This book is a psychological thriller, and to me the thriller portion came from the fact that these boys are walking towards their death, being cheered on by their friends and family. They're being watched by crowds of people, they're being taunted and tormented and booed and cheered. Their deaths are viewed as a spectacle. Their bloody shoes are literally collected as souvenirs by the people watching. There are children watching the long walk. There are couples on first dates at the long walk. There are families picnicking while watching sleep-deprived, fatigued, starved young boys walk till they get a bullet in their head, and it's never explained why. What happened that got us here? Is this the America that we know and sometimes love, or is this some sort of like parallel universe? What would have to happen in your life for you to reach this level of ambivalence with young boys dying? What would have to happen in the next 20, 30, 50 years for you not to completely throw up at the idea of this taking place every single year? That's literally never addressed. And that's the basic premise of the book. And notice how I specifically said book, because you would think that the premise for the movie that's based off of the book would be exactly the same as the book, but no. No. The Long Walk movie is indeed about a group of boys who are walking indefinitely, and our main character is technically Ray Garrity, though I would argue it's more of an ensemble cast, especially in the context of the new and improved ending, but we do follow Ray Garrity's POV more so than any other character, so I guess he's technically our main character, but that's literally where the similarities end. Let's get into some of the main differences between the book and the movie version of The Long Walk. The rest of this video will absolutely 100% be full of spoilers, so if you would like to consume this piece of media without any spoilers or without my opinion clouding your judgment, I suggest you come back to this video afterwards, because this is your only warning. The rest of this video will be complete spoilers, unfiltered opinions. I'm not pulling any punches, so this is your last chance to back out. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. For me, the biggest change between the book and the movie was literally the point of the book, literally the point of the story, literally what Stephen King was trying to say with this piece of media, this piece of art. The book ends exactly as you would expect a book like this to end. 100 boys enter the long walk. Ray Garrity is our main character. He makes some friends along the way. He sees a lot of traumatic things. Everybody dies. He wins. The end. He is no Katniss Everdeen. There is no rebellion. He's just a sweet boy who loves his mom and has a girlfriend, and he signed up for the long walk because he just decided to sign up for the long walk, and he doesn't really know why he did it, but he did. This book is nearly 300 pages of hopelessness, of what it's like to be in a system and wishing for change but never actually doing anything to change it. This book is literally about what the world would be like if there were absolutely no Katniss Everdeens to challenge the status quo and to make things better. You're told to walk. You complain about walking, but you still walk. People die, you live. You die, other people get to live. You are unimportant, and life is unfair, and everyone has a reason to be alive, and life is precious. Simple. And I found the book really beautiful and really heartbreaking. I didn't want to fall in love with any of the characters. I didn't want to care about any of the other boys because I knew they were all gonna die aside from Ray. I was no better than the people watching the long walk because I too couldn't put the book down because I needed to know who was gonna die next and how they were gonna die and how they were gonna go out and what were the last words gonna be. This book is about the human spirit and how fragile it can be, and every single boy is a metaphor, and it was just overall a very good read. The movie, however, turned the story into some proud boy, let's make America great again, you're walking to show pride in your country, we're all soldiers of this war, Trumpy jerk off of a movie. The Major, who is basically the face of the long walk, he greets the boys at the starting line, and then he also greets the winner at the end. He is the symbol of the long walk and the unfairness of it. He's nothing more than the shadow looming over the boys inside of the book. They all hate him, they all love him, they want to kill him, they want to kiss him. He is like the human embodiment of the long walk. In the book, he's nothing more than like the boogeyman. But in the movie, he's in the background giving motivational speeches about the boys' walk. He's dropping lore about the war that caused the long walk. He gets to kill the second to last walker in this big dramatic show of victory for the final boy. I hated how the mystery of the long walk, where we are given very little explanation as to why these boys are doing this and why it's so normalized, got turned into some like ROTC on steroids country pride walk. I also hated how much context to the long walk and to the dystopian world we were given in the movie, because apparently the long walk was created because of some war. That's honestly worse than no explanation at all, because how does war equal teenage boys walking to their death? I feel like war is such a lazy way for dystopian writers to kind of justify their dystopian world without actually coming up with a complex backstory. Like, it makes sense for Suzanne Collins. War, districts, punishing the losers, like, that all makes sense. But, like, who's benefiting from the boys walking? Like, war with who? Like, who cares about this? The movie has officially moved into, like, political commentary territory, and, like, I'm sorry, I know it's 2026, but, like, life sucks. Not everything has to be political commentary. Especially because The Long Walk already has political commentary baked in. It just wasn't spelled out by making the walk a political event. I think that this movie is a really great example of the decline in media literacy recently because of how much they had to change about The Long Walk in order to shove the moral of the story into the viewer's face when it's already in the book. You just have to, like, use your brain a little bit. Furthermore, they gave Ray Garrity a rebel plotline. So unnecessary. So unnecessary to give him a rebel plot. So freaking unnecessary. He's not walking because he felt like he had to. No, he's walking because his father was a rebel whom got killed in front of him and his mother by the Major as punishment, and now Ray wants to win the Long Walk so he can kill the Major as revenge. Literally, what the fuck? Literally, what the fuck? Literally, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Who came up with that? Literally, like, yes, Ray's father does get soldiered in the book, but it's never explained why, and it's never explained exactly what that is. Ray and his mother don't even talk about his father after the soldiering happens. In fact, when it happens, when Ray is like a small wee 3-year-old, he runs into the kitchen after his dad gets soldiered, asks his mom, "Where's daddy?" and she slaps him across the face. Little 3-year-old Ray Garrity saying, "Where's daddy?" causes her to slap him across the face, and they never again talk about his father. Context clues tell us that Ray's father was most likely doing some kind of rebel shit and got punished for it, most likely killed. And based on the mother's reaction and the punishment of Ray for simply asking where the father is, we can conclude that they live in some sort of, like, hyper controlled government big brother sort of situation where the government is to be respected at all times. Thus, Ray and his mother never again talk about his father, so they don't get the same fate as him. Do you see how I use my brain to draw those conclusions based off the information I was given? You see how I didn't need a rebel plotline shoved into my face? So in the movie, media and information is basically banned, a la Fahrenheit 451, a la The Book Thief. And his father would save media and spread it to people very rebel. So the Major shows up on his doorstep one day, grabs him, throws him in the street, and basically gives him one chance to pledge his life back to America. Which, by the way, in the book, it's just the government. The movie just really has to drive home the fact that it's America for some reason, which is just a really small detail that pisses me off. But anyways, the dad says no. He chooses the rebel lifestyle over his own family, and he allows the Major to shoot him dead in the head in front of his teenage son. He's a teenager in the book, in the movie when this happens, whereas he was a child in the book. The Major kills him dead in front of his son and his wife. This thus causes Ray's need for revenge against the Major. How is Ray gonna kill the Major, you might ask? The prize, which is also different from book to movie. In the book, the prize is whatever the winner wants forever and ever, whilst in the movie, it is one single wish and like millions of dollars. A small change, but in the book, there is a slight dread that the prize doesn't exist. There's a short few paragraphs where the boys joke that the prize is actually the opportunity to get taken out back and shot in the head, a la The Dark Harvest. This seed of doubt is planted in your head very early on, so the entire book, you are very anxious to get to the end to see if the winner actually gets anything or not. It really adds to the psychological thriller aspect, because isn't that like kind of the genre of this movie? Book, it's the genre of the book. It is definitely not the genre of the movie. Sorry. However, in the movie, the boys know for a fact that the prize exists because the winner gets awarded their one wish directly after finishing the walk. Which, by the way, if I just walked over 300 miles, the last thing that I would want is to be asked my one wish. I'm not thinking clearly. My wish would be a piece of cake. My wish would be a slice of cheese and a bottle of water. Ask me in a week when I've psychologically recovered a little bit from the trauma of all my friends dying and me being like a shell of a human. Crazy asking me what I want after I've literally just basically been dying. Crazy. Anyways, that would piss me off if I just walked for 7 days straight and then some random man's like, everybody died except for you. What do you want? I want a new pair of shoes. I want a massage. I want a new pair of feet. I'd like to be carried everywhere for the rest of my life. I'm not thinking straight. My lover just died. We'll get into that in a bit. Pissed off. Anyways, the boys have literally seen and heard of what others have asked for and received. So it really takes away that slight psychological thriller aspect of you thinking that the prize doesn't exist, because the prize literally exists. The prize literally exists. We've seen the prize. This change, I believe, is tied directly to the fact that they gave our main character a rebel plotline where he plans to ask for a gun as his prize and then shoot the major in the face at the end of the walk. Will he get arrested? Will he get killed? Who knows? He's the fucking winner of the long walk. It's a gray area. It's like how you can't kill the victor of the Hunger Games because he's a symbol of the Hunger Games. You can't kill the winner of the long walk. He's gonna get away with murder in front of everybody. He's gonna get away with it. It's just really frustrating to me that they changed a genius psychological thriller into basically like a war propaganda movie. You can't really call this a psychological thriller if you tried. I was not psychologically thrilled at all, and I did force one of my friends to watch it with me as a sort of control group because she hadn't read the book and she hadn't seen any spoilers, and she was firm at the back of her seat, completely unmoved. My second biggest problem with the movie, and the other biggest difference, is the ending. Remember the ending that everybody was saying was better than the book? Yeah, no, I'm completely convinced now that any book talker who said that the ending of the movie was better than the book got paid to say that. You were on the Lock Walk payroll. Conspiracy, if any of your favorite book talkers said that the movie ending was better than the book, they are on the Long Walk payroll. They are getting paid to spew lies. No fan of this book would say that the movie ending was better than the book ending. The book ends with Ray Garrity winning. Shocker. He walks over 300 miles. His last two competitors are McVrice, whom we will talk about more in a bit, and Stebbins. Now, Stebbins is Ray's biggest op throughout the entire book. In my opinion, terrible casting. They casted this tall drink of American water for a boy who's supposed to be lanky and thin and a thorn in the side of Ray Garrity for the entire book. Ray immediately thinks that he's going to be the first boy to die. The second that he lays his eyes on him, he's like, that boy is going to die first. Yep, hate him. He's thin and he's sketchy looking. He's gonna die first. He's thin, he's weak, he doesn't talk to anybody, he's mysterious, he doesn't complain. He eats like 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that he brought for himself, and Ray calls Stebbins' mother stupid, or I believe he says not smart, because she didn't wrap them in foil and it's currently raining. So Ray also just hates Stebbins' mother for some reason. Stebbins gets like an early warning, like 5 minutes into the walk, he gets his first warning, and all the other boys consider this a genius tactic because it means that he can gauge his pace for the rest of his walk, and then he maintains a practically clean record the entire rest of the way. He barely gets any other warnings. Ray hates this kid for like literally no reason. And then towards the end of the walk, Ray realizes that Stebbins might actually be pretty hard to beat, and then Stebbins drops the soul-shattering lore that he is doing the long walk because he is the major's bastard child, and he is doing this as a way to prove himself / get back at the major. And since Ray has no major motivation in the book, this is like pretty big news, because who can outwalk a man who has that as his motivation for winning? McVrice dies at some point, and Ray is just about ready to give up. So he goes up to Stebbins to tell him that he's going to tap out when he realizes that Stebbins is like dead on his feet. Stebbins falls, Ray wins, the crowd cheers, the major comes over to congratulate him, and Ray keeps walking. The book ends with him just walking and walking and not looking back. The movie barely touches on the hatred that Ray has for Stebbins, yet for some reason they kept the irritation that Ray has for Stebbins. So even though we don't get the context of Ray hating Stebbins and being freaked out by him, for some reason the actor always addresses Stebbins with like anger and frustration, which makes no sense to the viewer out of context because it's literally just coming out of nowhere. Like Stebbins will literally just walk up to him and be like, I think it's gonna rain, and the actor will be like, shut up Stebbins, I hate you Stebbins. And it's like, what? So in the movie, the final 3 boys are Stebbins, Ray, and McVrice, but Stebbins ends up dying first, leaving McVrice and Ray. Now let's talk about McVrice. These 2 boys are many ready. Stephen King, just commit to writing queer media because you're so good at it and you're not even trying. Ray and McVrice become fast friends in the book and end up saving each other's lives multiple times over the course of the walk. But there's always this slight tinge in the back of their mind of like, what if I don't save him this time? Because the reality of the situation is, even if you like somebody, The more people that die, the faster everybody else dies, the faster you get to stop walking, the closer you are to winning. So like, why would you save his life? Because you're in love? Because you're in love, maybe? Because you love each other and want to kiss, maybe? So McBride confides in Ray that the reason he's doing the walk is because he lost his girlfriend after getting fired from a job that he took so he could have enough money to start a life with her, and he signed up for the walk immediately after losing both. McBride was actually on the reserve and only found out he would be in the walk the day before, so there was an alternate universe where he was never even here because he technically wasn't even a part of the original 100. McBride and Garrity have a very sweet, in my opinion, will they won't they kind of relationship. Every time one of them mentions their girlfriend, the other one makes this sort of like rude, joking, kind of jealous comment. They share food, they save each other. When Ray gets his 3 strikes and almost dies, it's McBride that distracts him long enough to walk off some of his warnings. In the book, he loses the long walk because he finally just reaches his physical limit and he decides to sit down, thus giving Ray a better chance at winning against Stebbins. McBride dies so Ray could live. Was it casual when you killed yourself so that way he could live? Was it casual when the writers erased both McBride and Ray's girlfriends from the script? They were lovers. They were lovers. They were lovers. In the movie, however, Stebbins dies first and Ray and McBride keep walking on, leaning on each other, ready to walk their bestie into the ground so that way they can win. But wait, suddenly McBride lets go of Ray and he sits on the ground. Warning number 1. Warning number 2. Oh my god, he's gonna do it. He's gonna kill himself for Ray. Ray, the winner, the main character, the protagonist of this book. Of course McBride is gonna kill himself for Ray. But wait again. Ray runs over and picks up McBride because he's like, you're not going out like that, buddy. We're gonna win this thing together. We're gonna end it together. We're gonna keep going. But wait again, Ray pushes McBride forward and sits on the ground and gets shot and dies. Warning number 3, bam, dead. Warning number 3, shot in the head. Actually gets shot in the gut so that way he can profess his love to McBride. Shot in the gut. McBride is like, what the heck, dude? What'd you just do? And Ray goes, it's because I love you, man. I love you. I love you. I love you. He literally says, I love you. He literally dies and says, it's because I love you. He kills himself for McBride. Ray dies, and McBride wins the long walk. They completely changed McBride's backstory in the movie to have like this tragic backstory of like no love and no family, so it would make sense for McBride to sacrifice himself so that way Ray could get back to his mom, but that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So Ray's dead. The major shoots him in the head. He turns to McBride and he's like, what would you like for your wish? What do you want for winning the long walk? You just won the long walk, dude. I know your lover is bleeding out behind me, but what do you want for your one wish? And what does he wish for? A gun. He wishes for a gun. A gun to shoot the major dead in Ray's honor. He says, this is for Ray. Bam, dead. Good ending for a rebel political propaganda film, but not my long walk. Also, I totally get why viewers would want McBride to win over Ray because they literally made him such a better character in the movie than he was in the book. They gave McBride some of Ray's lines. They gave him a more tragic storyline. They made him sweet and caring. Ray was sweet and caring. And they made Ray a jerk. Ray was so sweet in the book, and they turned him into a literal jerk. He literally snaps at his mom in the beginning for absolutely no reason. He has no qualities that would make a viewer root for him. I rooted for him in the book because he was the main POV, but also because I liked him as a person. I do not know this man. I don't know him. Some of the other smaller changes that I hated was that in the movie they got to wear their speed trackers on their wrist, which again kind of takes away the psychological suspense that's built into the book. In the book, it's the guards that monitor how fast you're actually going. There's one part in the book where Ray gets 3 warnings, and if he goes under 4 miles per hour, he gets shot with absolutely no warning, and he has to walk for 3 hours to get his warnings taken away, and you never know how close he is to dying. You never know when the bullet is coming, so he walks faster than his body can physically go because he doesn't want to risk walking too slow. It's beautiful and it's nail-biting suspense and you're always worried for him. But in the movie, they're literally wearing speedometers on their wrist. So at one point, Ray is like, hey guys, let's slow down 0.2 miles per hour. Yeah, doesn't that feel better? Let's go ahead and maintain this pace going forward. Like, why are you stratting your pace? There's no thrill to that. I'm not on the edge of my seat. You constantly know how fast you're going. There's no suspense. Also, in the book, you have to maintain a pace of 4 miles per hour, but in the movie, it's 3, which isn't important whatsoever. It's not an important detail, but like, why did we change it? For me, it's when adaptations start to change small, almost meaningless aspects of books that show me that you actually had no respect for the source material in the first place. Like, it literally doesn't matter. But Stephen King said 4 miles per hour. So if it literally doesn't matter, why can't we just keep it at 4 miles per hour? Like, if you think 3 miles per hour is so much better than 4 miles per hour, maybe you should have wrote the fucking book. It's literally not important, but it just like kind of pisses me off. The age limit was also changed for some reason. In the book it's 13 to 18, but in the movie you have to be over 18 to participate in the long walk, so I guess it's okay for children to die in the real world, but not on screen. The first kid does die via like Charlie horse or whatever, but Garrity doesn't help him in the book. In fact, all of the motivational words that movie Garrity was saying to Curly was actually what he was saying to himself in the book when he got a Charlie horse and almost got his ticket towards the end of the walk. I also really hated how the major was there for the death and used it to spur the boys on. Like, why are we chanting for Curly? Like, that did not happen in the book, and I don't know why they added that to the movie. The whole Three Musketeers pact thing wasn't in the book. Yes, they would make jokes about doing musketeer shit by like helping each other, but it was very clear that they were not in a pact. They did not agree to be in a pact. They did not agree to help each other. In fact, none of them actually went out of their way to help each other except for McVrise and Ray. Yes, McVrise, Ray, Art, and Hank were closer friends during the walk, but it was more so because they just happened to sit next to each other at the beginning and then just decided to walk near each other for the duration of the walk. But the whole pact chant Three Musketeers thing was blown like way bigger in the movie. In fact, towards the end of the movie, when Stebbins proposes that they don't help each other anymore, they disagree because of the pact, but that is not how it happens in the book. I'm pretty sure it's Art who proposes the rule of no helping each other when they're down to like the last like 5 or 10 boys, and he does it specifically to keep McVrise and Ray from saving each other, because McVrise had literally just saved Ray from getting shot in the head for stepping out of bounds when he saw his mom and his girlfriend. He like saw his mom and his girlfriend in the crowd, and he tried to like join them, and he almost died, so McVrise pulled him back onto the track and they kept walking, thus completely saving his life. So Art is like, hey guys, no more helping each other, let's all make that's when the pact comes in. He's like, hey, pact, from here on out you win by your own merit, no helping each other. And they all agree, including Ray and McVrise, which is why McVrise dies before Stebbins, because Ray can't help him. I do think he tries, but McVrise reminds him about the pact, and like they make peace with his death. But anyways, that whole Three Musketeers thing was way, way, way bigger in the movie. They also did change the number of walkers from 100 down to 50, which I understand why they would do this for like movie pacing reasons. I just feel like having to outwalk 99 other guys is so much more mentally daunting than 49. I hate to keep bringing up the Hunger Games, but the movies didn't reduce the amount of tributes just because there were too many to give on-screen time to. I think they still could have done 100 walkers and just killed more people off screen. I think an aerial shot of 100 boys walking in the very beginning would have been really cinematic, and Stephen King did kill a lot of the walkers off page due to the high number, and just had the main boys do like a verbal recap every so often, which I think would have worked here as well. In the book, there are more people watching the long walk during the whole thing, which I feel added to the eerie dystopian feel. In the movie, it was said that the major didn't allow crowds of people to form until there were only 2 people left walking. I really did like the sudden cheering at the very end of the movie, the juxtaposition from the quiet walking for a majority of the movie and then all of a sudden the screaming and cheering of the crowd. I did really like that, but I preferred the level of dystopianness that the crowd being there for the entirety of the long walk added. I feel like it really upped the psychological aspect of the psychological thriller as opposed to them walking just empty streets. It was a really small detail, but it was just one that I preferred. And then lastly, they melted my favorite character down into a bunch of other characters, making the metaphor that he symbolized completely weaker. Scram is an in-book character whomst is 15 or 16 and has a 17-year-old wife at home who is pregnant. He dropped out of high school to work and decided to enter the long walk because he knew he could win. He's a tank of a boy who literally walks 80 plus miles every single day just for fun. He had a happy life and he was ready to provide for his family. He had the best odds of any other walker, and even I thought that he was going to win, only for him to come down with pneumonia after years of never having gotten sick. He symbolized the fact that no matter how prepared you are, life can still come in and mess up your plans. Eventually, he does make peace with the fact that his body is giving out on him and he's never going to make it to the end of the long walk, and he decides to die on his own terms by sitting on the ground, flipping off the guards, and taking his bullet with dignity. I loved him so much. I loved his whole storyline so much. They gave the wife plotline to Hank, making it a complete afterthought. In fact, they only kept the plotline in because it causes all the boys to make a pact to give his wife some of their winnings. This does happen in the book, and Ray does ask everyone, including Stebbins, his op, and Barkovich, the asshole of the group. But in the movie, the boys don't ask Barkovich, which helps start his mental spiral that causes him to kill himself. In the book, he rips out his own throat with his fingers, and in the movie, he stabs himself in the neck with like a pencil or something. They also give Scram's pneumonia plotline to Stebbins, which causes him to die third as opposed to second at the end of the movie. So did I like any of the movie? Yeah, I thought the deaths I thought the deaths were really well done, actually. I feel like they could have had a little bit more gore, actually, but the first gunshot to the head was a really great start to the film, and I really liked Harkness's broken ankle. It was such a jump scare, and his death did make me shed a single tear because it was so sad, the fact that he would never get to finish his book. I also really love Collie Parker's death scene where he steals a gun, shoots some soldiers before shooting himself in the head while speaking in his native language. I thought it was beautiful, and I thought it was a great example of how characters and scenes can be combined for the sake of a movie, and the execution being even more impactful. The Hank death scene and how Art reacted was so moving, and the entirety of Art's death actually did bring me to tears because I thought it was beautifully done. And not to sound morbid, but I would watch this whole movie again just to see that death scene because I thought it was insanely beautiful and very, very heartbreaking. Ray's reunion with his mom was super moving. I wish that it had been in a crowd of people like it was in the book, but the emptiness of the street and the van slowly moving as she gets revealed was honestly really cinematic. I do have to give them their flowers on that one. The fact that Ray almost makes it past her, but then breaking at the very last minute, the mom's terrified face and refusing to touch him while Ray is just like begging for a hug from her, and then McBride is pulling him away. The whole scene filled me with a lot of emotion. And in the book, that pain is rewarded with Ray winning. But in the movie, they kill him not even 5 minutes later. So I also thought the hill scene was a great way to kill off a big amount of characters in one go. And I liked the attempt. To me, it read more as like war battlefield montage, which I kind of hated. I mostly just liked it as a concept and how it led to Harkness's broken ankle reveal. There were also a few mood shift scenes that I did really love, specifically the one where they chant, fuck the long walk, and then the radio starts playing and they're all like happy and cheering, and then immediately it cuts to them being drenched in rain. I really liked the immediate contrast between hopefulness and hopelessness. Aside from that one scene though, I thought the pacing of the movie sucked. I really did not like the pacing of the movie whatsoever. I felt like everything was happening way too fast. I felt like I never got to settle into any of the emotions that they were trying to make me feel before the mood was abruptly changed. I think that the point of a movie like this is to give the viewer small scenes of hope and joy and comfort and then rip it away. But I never got to feel those emotions before the scene shifted, so it just felt overall very disjointed. Like they would give me a scene where I'm supposed to feel hope, but then before I even got to feel that hope, they would change it to the next scene where it's like hopelessness, and it's like, well, I didn't even feel the hope yet, so actually I don't have that juxtaposition of feelings because I didn't feel the first one yet. There was just no room for like breath in the movie. They were doing things really, really fast. I think that characters reacted to things way too fast. I never got to see their descent into madness or their build up to anger before they completely blew up, which just kind of left me confused about their reactions. And overall, I just think the movie could have done with much better pacing. All in all, was this movie a good book to movie adaptation? In my opinion, no. Was it a good movie? Kind of. Like, I don't think that I'll ever particularly watch it again or think of it again. I think I'm much more likely to reread the book than I am to ever rewatch the movie. My friend didn't really care for it, and only after giving her a lot of context from the book did she even start caring about the plot at all. I think the movie had really great potential, but it's hard to keep a viewer engaged with a premise that's honestly so boring. The premise of the story is boring, and I'm shocked that Stephen King was able to keep my attention for 300 pages worth of boys walking. But it was in the dread and the suspense and the psychological thriller aspects that kept me reading, and I feel like all of that got lost in the movie or was completely stripped away. I also really hated the political rebel plotline. There was really no way for the movie to come back from that once I realized that that's the direction they were going with it. I feel like if they just didn't lean so hard into the political rebel stuff, maybe I would have liked it more, but I just feel like adding that plotline changed the entire context of the story for me. Well, those are all my thoughts on both the book and movie versions of Stephen King's The Long Walk. Let me know in the comments how you felt about either one. If you hated the book, I would love to know why, and if you loved the movie, maybe you had a different outlook on it than I did, and I would love to hear that as well. I'm also in my Stephen King era right now, so if you have any Stephen King recommendations, I would love it if you filled my comments with those, because this man has a behemoth of a discography, so I would really love some like jumping off points to like dip my toes in. I will have my Fable and Pagebound linked in the caption below if you would like to connect, but other than that, I will see you in the next chapter.